Greetings, loyal minions, beautiful humans. Welcome to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who eat their vegetables. If that's you, no, that's shit.
Are you the beautiful body did it? Really?
Greetings, loyal minions, beautiful humans. Welcome to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who build fences. If that's you, I appreciate you. Also, shoot me a quote. I don't need a new fence in my backyard. Also, the channel was statistically proven to increase your chances of 3.7% of finding your perfect partner during social gatherings purely because you now know how to throw a shrimp on the barbie. Elite Club. What is it? I'm sure we've all seen things floating around. I thought I'd do a quick video, not only on the Elites Club, also on my spending habits, and also kind of a large, sorry, the cat just flapped her tail and probably got the microphone. A large announcement for myself. So stick around for that. Anyone who sort of runs an alliance or has, input into their alliance, definitely worth hanging around for. So yeah, a bit of a big personal announcement. Anywho, the Elites Club. There's been a lot of talk about the Elites Club. We can see here I've been invited. I'm just going to get rid of that. It was an interesting launch because there was no information about this at all. People just logged into the game the other day and some people had an Elites Club invite. There seems to be not a lot of rhyme or reason. There's so much chatter around on the forums around who was invited. Some people didn't spend much money. Some people did. Look, I'm sure there's an algorithm. We've also got a bit of extra information directly from staff members or a staff member now, so that kind of helps a little bit. So I'll get to that. But yeah, basically, they would have an algorithm that would highlight people who they could try and get more money out of, and a reasonable amount of money, if that makes sense. So I personally feel I was probably chosen because when I spend, I do spend quite a lot. And I think that would pop up on the algorithm as well. This guy might only spend $100 a month, but some months it may be $1,500. So there's a big potential there to get that. He's obviously got capacity to spend money. How do we make him spend more every month, sort of thing? So yeah. What does it mean for the game? I personally don't think it's a bad thing. There's been a lot of people out there saying it means that the people that spend money are going to get more, and etc., etc. So there's so many things we can discuss when it comes to pay to win, people getting advantages and that sort of thing. I'm not going to get into all of those topics. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Without people spending money in this game, the game wouldn't be here. So anyone who's free to play, you can complain all you want. You can say, oh, it's not fair. I come in and there's all these strong teams. Well, reality check, that's bloody life. Look, and I'm not saying there can't be better balances in the game. Don't get me wrong. I definitely feel we could make older heroes more relevant, make it a little bit easier for new players to get some of those heroes. So definitely don't get me wrong, but I see so many people, complaining about everything. So whether it's the treasure quest, the new Dragon Cave, oh, it's too hard. It's just for people to spend more money. Well, nearly everything you do in life, you don't turn up to the golf course on the first day and beat everyone else, with old bloody wooden clubs. You don't just pick a guitar up and start belting out tunes like bloody Slash. Whilst I do think there are definitely some improvements that can be made, it is just a simple fact of life at the moment, and especially with these types of games, people who spend are going to get better things and therefore have an advantage in the game. I've always said the key is to ensure you're trying to play at the level. It's all great to want to be in a top 100 alliance, but the simple fact is, if you don't have the roster and the skill, you're not going to end up being there. So, and that doesn't matter. If you play a game with a low-level roster, enjoy playing against other low-level players. The game is still the same. It's just a different bunch of heroes. So, and also understand that there may be new challenges that come out that you can't instantly beat, but that's where the challenge and the fun comes in of building a team to beat those. So anyway, there's a bit of a rant off my chest. Let's get into the Elites Club a little bit more. So when this first launched, no one had a clue what it was about. and there was an article shared in the forums. If you want to go check it out, if you just search for Elite Club, you'll find it. You'll find a link to the article. It was from a couple of years ago, and it was from someone high up at Zynga talking about like a VIP club, and it was a little disturbing in a way, and I think a few people got a little bit bothered by it, just purely talking about how they target people. The person in question had come from a casino background, and it was how they target their largest spenders to try and make them, if they stop spending, how do they try to make them spend again? And talking about people like they were nothing more than numbers, running through an algorithm and a way to make money. And again, the game is a business. That's what they're there for. Now, again, we can have lots of different discussions about morals and the right way to do things and the wrong way. Get rid of all that for now. They're a business. They need to make money. So I think that article got a few people a bit bothered because it was a little sort of, not disturbing. It was just a little bit harsh, basically saying, we're going to prey on people who have any sort of gambling tendencies. Anywho, thanks to Mama Sidon here for putting a little bit of information on the forums. Basically has asked exactly what the benefits are, because the email we got, I haven't signed up, by the way. The information we got, the link to terms and conditions, there was really nothing in there. It just said you might get a few bonuses and stuff. So we can see here, we're excited to have you a part of our Elites Club. As a valued member, you'll enjoy exclusive perks designed to make your experience even more rewarding. Have the opportunity to connect, to engage directly with a manager who's there to support you. You'll be invited to participate in special promotions and unique engagements in collaboration with our marketing team. So that's an interesting one, and I think something I'd love to be involved in. But if it's part of being some sort of club, it's probably not my thing either. So yeah, there's a bit of information there. I've had some other people say, so when people signed up, there was a gift of, I believe, 50 gems and a little bit of ham and iron, so nothing crazy there. Keeping in mind, people that are complaining about these people, they're going to get more and more stuff. If you're already a big spender, you've already got that advantage in the game, so I don't think they're ever going to be doing anything that gives those players a bigger advantage than they already have from spending, or we already have from spending. So keep that in mind as well. Another person that was in the club has told me, their managers have said, if you raise any issues with the game, like on the forums about bugs, contact them directly and they'll help you get it sorted out and that sort of stuff. So I don't think there's any sort of unfair advantage happening. I would be really interested to know more about the special promotions and unique engagement. It could just be a different sort of subscription service and again, it's just a way to get guaranteed income. So rather than have someone who may not spend money for a month for whatever reason, it's a way to have them commit to saying, okay, I'm going to spend X amount per month and get this sort of package for it, which I'm sure there'd be, some perks in there. So, but yeah, it's very interesting. It'd be great to know exactly who it was sent to, because I think, just because someone spends money in a game doesn't sort of mean they're in a great place to help with sort of collaborating with marketing and that sort of thing. But it is what it is. They're running their business. So, yeah, that's the first point. Now, there was also a little bit of extra information from Chuck, amazing staff member. You can see there a little hidden panda in the corner. Everyone loves a panda. So Chuck, I'm aware of the Elites Club, but I'm not working on it. I know it just launched and it is a phased rollout. They're going to walk before they run, so it's starting small. They want to be sure they can provide a consistent level of service as they scale up and begin to add extra facets like supporting more languages. So the article I mentioned talked about, giving cars away and all these really crazy things. So look, I think for this particular game and this particular part of it, it's going to be, I sort of know this from experience with the creator program. They are starting out with very, very small steps. So it could just be to start with, they're getting in touch with people, getting people to sign up, probably trying to get some information through those discussions with the account managers. And then they'll sort of phase in extra parts to it. It could become a tiered system. And to be honest, I think it's a great thing. If there's a different, like, rather than, jumping occasionally at certain deals when they come in, if you've got a nice tiered system, especially I feel rewards are a big thing that's missing in this game. So if you're spending like between 100 and 200 a month, you qualify for this reward tier every month and get bonuses. Like, it just means you're getting more for the money that you spend. Anyway, that's my opinion on it. Now, moving on from that, because that's about all we know at the moment. Moving on from that, my name is Sai, and I'm a spendaholic. So anyone who watches my channel, you would have seen recently especially that I did drop a fair bit into the Harvest portal. And again, this is a topic, we can get onto the topic of spending money, and there's better ways to spend money and all this sort of nonsense. But for now, I'm not going to touch on that. We're all adults. We can do what we want with our money. As I said, there's discussions there about whether the game does things in a moral way and all that sort of stuff. Not for this video. I spend money. I have money. I spend it. Now, keep in mind, I'm not anywhere near rich or anything. Like, I live a very simple life. I don't have a lot of expenses. Children, obviously, children are amazing creatures. I don't have any. That probably helps me have more expendable income than a lot of people. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of expenses. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I don't go to the cinema and watch a lot of movies, these sort of things. So the game is my entertainment, especially with the YouTube channel. I have found that I've started spending a little bit more money as well. Now, when it comes to spend, I'm going to do something that probably not many people do. I'm going to share my exact spend. So if anyone had have asked me, I probably would have said, look, on average, I probably spend $500 a month. Now, keeping in mind, this is Australian dollars, and that probably equates to maybe 300 US dollars. Now, that would have been off the top of my head. Now, that goes up and down sometimes, depending on if a hero comes out I really like. I used to have a bit of a system where I wouldn't spend much for a few months, and then if there was a good bunch of heroes in a particular portal, I would spend big to try and refresh my roster. That has changed a little bit with YouTube. So I actually went to my PayPal account and added everything up from Small Giant. It was a little bit of a worry, but also not too much. Now, this all came about because when I got the Elites Pass, Elites invitation, it kind of was a bit of a kick up the butt. I was like, wow, like, hang on, I'm nowhere near a top spender in this game. Like, some people spend upwards of $5,000 every month. And some of the figures I've seen people say they've spent is just absolutely, in my mind, ridiculous. But again, if people have money, they can do what they want. If you think you've got a problem, then I definitely suggest going and seeking some assistance in that sort of thing. I personally have a bit of a addictive personality in some ways, so I can definitely get carried away. Anywho, off the top of my head, I was thinking maybe $500 a month. So I went to PayPal. I did some reports via PayPal, and I suggest anyone does this because I think everyone probably underestimates their spend a little bit. So I'd love to know, drop in the comments the way you either manage your spend or control your spend. Do you just have a set amount? Do you have a separate account that you put money into so you can't overspend? Do you just spend whenever and look, I think I spend this much, but the problem is it's so quick and easy. Like, literally, I can click a couple of buttons in this game and I've spent, $150. So my spend over the last 3 months was pretty much $1,000, $1,000, and $1,500. So again, keep in mind that's Australian dollars. So probably like 600, and 1,000-ish US. It was a little bit of a shock as it was higher than I was expecting, but also wasn't crazy. Like, it's not something I look at and think, oh my God, like, what have I done? I'm so like regretful. Because again, the game gives me a lot of opportunity to engage with all of you. It gives me entertainment. Yeah. So keeping in mind as well, I did go back a little bit further before the sort of YouTube stuff got a little more popular, and that spend was more like about $600, which is probably more so in my mind where I was at. But I definitely have started spending a little bit more with YouTube just to do some longer summoning videos and that sort of stuff. Now, someone actually asked me the other day, was like, oh, do you feel the pressure on the YouTube? And it was a really interesting question and something that I'd love to say that that's the reason that I feel pressure. But any sort of pressure like that is generally pressure we put on ourselves. Like, no one out there has ever said, I want you to do more summoning videos and that sort of thing. So, yes, I have a good roster. I have a bit of a pressure to uphold the integrity of my war hits and that sort of thing. But no, there's no pressure. It's purely just me, my personality, and the income I have to be able to spend on the game. So, with that in mind, I'm just going to have a quick look through my roster to sort of show you what that spend level gets. Now, keep in mind, I've played the game for 6 years. I've definitely not spent that much month on month. So, I'd say definitely over the past 6 months, my spend has increased and probably been around that level. Prior to that, I would say it could have been anywhere from like $100 a month up to maybe the $300-400. You know, when I go back and look, there's been long periods over that 6 years where I basically haven't spent, or I may have spent, you know, $50 a month on the monthly deals and that sort of stuff. So, but that's a bit more recent indication. But what does that money get? At the end of the war, I look at my team sometimes and it's like, wow, I've got so many heroes there that I haven't used. So I'm just going to slowly scroll through them. We'll kind of count. That's 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 55, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. So we're already about here. There's approximately 140 fully leveled heroes of different descriptions. Some of them, there was a couple of 4 stars in there, and there were some that were unleveled at the top. But, you know, a lot of people would look at these heroes. We go down, there's still more, like Smart Tongue, Double LB. Like, a lot of people would love to have that hero. That hero is probably 80th in my roster. And look, I'm not trying to fucking flex or do anything crazy here. It's literally just trying to be as real as I can to give people an indication of what that gets and the differences. People say, how do you level a hero so quickly? So I'm just going to touch on a few parts of the game so that you can see my roster there. We're down to, look, you can even see my capacity. That's quite big. I've seen, you know, bigger than double that. But having said that, if we jump into the museum, we can also see that I only have a third of all the heroes available. And that's not even for 5 stars. So if we scroll down really quickly, you'll see once we get down into the 4 stars and 3 stars, I've got nearly all of them. So I would probably say I've got about 25% of all the available 5 stars. So just keep that in mind and understand that, you know, that's the difference between someone who spends nothing, someone who spends, you know, middle to high, such as myself, and then the extreme whales that we're probably going to be having, you know, maybe 1,000 out of that 1,500. I'd love to know what you've got, what you've seen, because I just think it's a really great indication of, you know, again, people saying, oh, I can't complete this challenge. Well, is it worth, like, you know, $5,000 over 6 months to be able to complete that challenge? Probably not. Yeah, so other things I've got, obviously I've got plenty of feeders. I do plenty of farming. I have plenty of backpacks. So I've got plenty of feeders here ready to level a hero if I get one. Again, during the harvest, I did buy a lot more deals than normal. What that gives me are things like, again, I still try and buy the deals I feel are the best and give plenty of things. But you'll see here I've got a lot of these sort of items so I can quickly ascend. I did have a limit break one until not long ago, but I can quickly get those heroes leveled up so I can actually make the most of them, because there's no point getting a brand new hero and then not being able to level it for 2 months, because by that time, you know, it may not be overly relevant in the meta. So with all that being said, I don't think there's anything else I need to show in my, I'll just jump into the inventory as well. We can see I've got lots of these materials. That's because I've got the Ascension Mimics. These materials are interesting because free-to-play players will quite often have a lot of these. Like, I know there's a couple of people in my alliance that might have 30 or 40 of every single one because they're not constantly getting heroes that they need to level. But yeah, there's plenty of things. Backpacks, ham, iron. You can see all my random tokens there. I've got a fair few elemental coins saved up. Yeah, emblems mostly have a fair few of those. I'm not chasing the emblem mimics. You can see certain classes like almost 10,000. So with that being said, I'm actually making a pledge that during the month of October, I am going to show you every single deal that I buy. And what I will do, shout out to Shovel, who's actually made a few comments on my channel, but mentioned one recently about charities and helping rather than spending money on the game. So what I'm actually going to do is during October, I'm going to screenshot every deal I buy. I'm going to add it up, show the total. I'm going to try to not spend as much as normal, and anything under $1,000. So the difference will be donated to a local charity. So if I spend $500, I'm going to donate $500 to a local charity. Just to give you an idea of, as I said, what I buy, the deals I buy, I try to buy the best value deals for getting summons. I generally don't buy gems. And I'll also try to buy deals that have the items that I like or need as well, which is like world energy, loot tickets, and that side of things. So I hope to some degree that was informative. I think a lot of us kind of get a little bit shameful when it comes to saying how much money we spend on a game. So I just want to start this. Let's get everyone out there being honest. Tell me exactly how much you spend. Tell me how much you thought you spent, and then tell me how much you actually have spent. Because I think this is just a great exercise to open people's eyes up a little bit. You know, we don't need to sit there in the shadows hiding our shame. Oh no, I spent some money on a game. But it's good to like be able to be honest about it, because I think by being honest about these things, it can then sometimes help us move in the right direction. Anyway, that's a lot of me rambling. Let me know your thoughts. Now, on to the big announcement I have. So, this is a tough one. For anyone that knows and watches my channel, I have been in Crew Jesters for quite some time. I don't even know how long, probably 3 or 4 years, maybe 3. And I cannot say enough good things about this alliance. Like, when I talk about Crew Jesters, I would say it's as close to a perfect alliance as you're ever likely to find. Extremely low drama, very laid back, still quite competitive, and just an absolute fantastic bunch of people. So I could sit here and go through everyone on this list and give a 5-minute spiel about how amazing and beautiful these people are. Apart from Mr. Chief, he's an asshole. No, I love Mr. Chief. So I have decided to leave the Crew Jesters. This is something I've been planning for years to have my own alliance. And the only reason I haven't done this in the last couple of years is because the Jesters are so amazing. So sooner or later it had to happen. As I said, I do not have anything bad to say about Jesters at all. Just absolutely beautiful bunch of people. And if you're looking for a very competitive, laid-back alliance, around about that top 100 to 200 mark, go check out the recruitment page on the forums. There's generally a waiting list because hardly anyone ever leaves because it is such a cool place. Look, even see here, like, just the support from everyone having the crow pin. Like, these little things can mean quite a lot. So, yeah, I'd really like to thank the Jesters for my time there. But moving on to new things, anyone who's been watching my videos may have picked up on some little teasers.
Then there's that whisper at 133, a tease in the dark. What could it be? Revolution roulette, spinning in your head. Is it hype? Is it real? Or just foreplay instead? I've done it dirty, I've done it clean.
So the magical 1 minute 33 teaser. For anyone who doesn't know, when I was giving away some major prize codes. I kind of pulled a little prank and said that every single video I've ever made had a hidden message at 1 minute 33, and you had to go and find them all to put together the words to win a code sort of thing. It was a total, prank, just piss take. But it gave me a bit of an idea. So from that day forward, I started putting in little flashes of this image at 1 minute 33 and sometimes 11 minutes 33 on my videos. And basically, I am going to start a new alliance, as you can see on the screen. So that's not what I'm here to talk about. Before I get my alliance up and running, I'm actually going to do a bit of a tour. So I'm going to head around to different alliances and just basically do one war at an alliance and then move on. So if you are part of an alliance that would like to host me, if you run an alliance, whatever it may be, please reach out. I'm going to leave my line code, my line link here. So reach out, let me know a little bit about your alliance. I think it would be a great chance to get your alliance's name out there, share some information about what your alliance is about. I believe alliances are one of the biggest parts of the game. I think as soon as we find an alliance where we feel, at home, so to speak, it changes the game. It makes it so much more enjoyable. And so many people out there will tell you that the only reason they haven't left the game is because of the alliance, because of the people they've met. This may sound a bit out of place because I forgot to say it in the normal video. I'm not leaving right now. I do have, I think, like 7 or 8 points for the next war chest. So as soon as I get that next war chest, they'll kick my ass out the door and I will be free to... how do I put this? I'll be free to be used however you want to use me. I'm celebrating alliances. Let me know about your alliance. Keeping in mind, depending on what level alliance you are, my roster may end up, really skewing your war figures and that sort of stuff. So it might lead to some mismatches, but let me know if you'd like to have me on board. Reach out to me online. Give me some information about your alliance. Just let me know what you're about. Keeping in mind, I'll be very honest in my videos. If an alliance has been absolute crap for whatever reason, I'm not going to hold back. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say you're amazing if it was a run like a shit show. So, but reach out, let me know, give me some info. And in return, when I'm doing these videos, I will just talk about your alliance and let them know what you're about and what you're trying to achieve in the game. And that should hopefully help you get the right type of people in your alliance, people that are playing at the same level and have those same sort of long-term goals in mind. So I think that's all I need to say. I look forward to getting out there and chatting with a lot of different people than normal, just experiencing different things in different alliances and having fun kicking some ass in war. So reach out to me, let me know. And once, I don't know how long I'll do that for, so I can't say how many alliances I'll go and tour. It might just be a couple of weeks. And yeah, we're looking forward to a whole new chapter with Revolution Roulette. So keep an eye out for it. I will have very, very strict guidelines as to what I want in my alliance. I have no qualms in letting everyone know exactly what it's about, making sure I get the right people, because to me, again, with an alliance, the big part is getting the same people who have the same goals in mind. I don't want to be one of the top alliances in the game, but it will be a reasonably competitive alliance with pretty laid back rules, but very, very strict. So I'm very big on action and consequence. If you know what the consequence is and you decide to commit the action, then the consequence is no issue. So you'll get your ass kicked out the door straight away. That's how I roll. It keeps the peace. Anyway, that's enough about that. As always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, remember to gently caress the subscribe button. Give your kitty a scritch for me. Have a bloody good one.